What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Latinaly, the podcast that is untamed, uncensored, and unapologetic. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that all of you are doing well. I hope all of you are staying the fuck home because I am tired of this. I am a homebody, so I'm okay with staying home. I do hopefully want to get married in June and go, well, the wedding thing that whatever I'm doing, that I could care less about. I need to go on my honeymoon. So that's what I'm concerned about. So please stay home so I can go on my honeymoon in June, please. Please. I would like to return to civilization in May. So there's a whole world after this and a whole life that we have to live. Although I did read that Corona is going to come back in 10 years. So let's get ready. But other than that, there's a whole world out there, that a whole life that we have to live, myself included. And I hope that you guys have been planning for this life, making decisions on this life, making certain choices. Like, have you been thinking about, oh, do I want to start having children? Oh, do I need a new career path? Oh, things like that. So I get a ton of questions on my life and where I am now and how I got to be where I am now, which in no way, shape, or form, is better than anybody else's situation or more successful than anyone else's situation, but I am damn proud of where I am today, just in my life and in my relationship and so on. So I do think for 25, I'm doing all right. And, although I don't know everything, I do know for a fact when it is time to have certain conversations about your future, whether it's with your significant other or with just yourself. I'm one of those people that I am very guilty of talking to myself constantly. Like, I'm the realest bitch I know. So why would I not want to listen to myself or talk to myself or get advice from myself? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So, like, why no one else? You feel me? So I do that. And it has helped me in so many ways. Like, I can't even tell you. These are decisions on marriage, babies, houses, assets, moving in together. That's a small but large milestone in a relationship. You know what I mean? Because it's like moving in together is not as binding as marriage, but it's a big ass decision. You know what I'm saying? So during this time, like, are we thinking about these things? And if so, do you plan on having conversations about these things? Because you can't make a decision, especially if you're with someone, you can't make a decision and not speak to that person because they need to be on board. Or if they're not on board, then you need to know who the fuck to cut off. That type of shit. And I find that a lot of women have a really hard time having these conversations that have to do with these things. And it's not for themselves. It's, I feel like a lot of women feel like they're going to scare off their man when they have those conversations because, to a woman, shit, from the time that we're fresh out the womb, we're talking about our wedding and babies and houses and white picket fence and all that Betty Crocker shit. Like, that's what we're thinking about. Men don't do that. And I know that even for myself, it was kind of nerve-wracking to have these conversations with Victor because I'm like, I don't know how the fuck he's going to react. Next month, Victor and I will be together for 7 years. And we didn't move in together until we were 4 years together. Believe me, I know how difficult it is to have these conversations, especially when you know that your man probably hasn't thought about that shit ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do know that a lot of men feel like, now when I find the right one, then I'm going to start thinking about these things. Cool. Fine. But just because they're thinking about it doesn't mean that a lot of them are going to act on it, because odds are you're ready before he is. And that's just a fucking fact. Okay? I put it to you this way. I was ready to marry Victor. Like, I knew I want to marry him 3 years into our relationship. Waited until we were together for 5 years to propose to me. I started harping on his ass to make a move 4 years into our relationship. So from the time I was like, oh, I want to marry him, to the time that I was harping and nagging and I was just like, okay, it was 4 years. Like, I waited a year. Like, that's a long ass time to wait to start to, you know what I'm saying? Because I was in my own head. And a lot of women get stuck because they're scared. And bitch, you have every right to, because that shit is scary. It's scary for yourself too, though, because you don't know what he's gonna say. Like, imagine you talk about spending your life with someone and then he just shuts you down. Bitch, that shit is heart-wrenching. It's like, we are on our own biological clock. We are on our own emotional clock. We are on our own fucking, career clock. We have all these different things that we have in our mind, and we have a certain time and we envision a certain moment or period or age where everything is going to come to fruition. So when you're with a man who doesn't see that with you, oh, bitch. Oh, that should have break your heart. Because I was with a guy who did not see that. He was not with it with me. Ended up dumping me on my birthday, but that's a whole different episode, okay? And so, because as women, we plan everything. Now, not all women, like a lot of grown ass women plan their life. You know what I'm saying? So you have a certain timeline that you've prepared for yourself. And it is 100% okay to want to stay in that timeline. It is when you feel the hunch, okay, now is the time to have this conversation. Bitch, have the conversation. Have it. Don't let anybody derail you or try to make you feel like, well, maybe it's not the time. No, bitch, it's my time. I am a firm believer that there is a time and a place for everything. However, I'm not naive, and I know that there's no handbook for this shit, because I know for a fact that at that 3-year point, had I had conversations with Victor, we would fantasize, and we would be like, oh, if we got married, or if we did it. And that's how I tested the waters. I was like, if we did this and if we did this, to get his reaction. Because you have to test it. You have to, because you can't just lay that shit on them. You can't just be like, hey, so I was thinking about getting married. It's like, what, bitch, what the fuck? You don't even know my favorite color. So, and if I had those conversations with Victor early and on in our relationship, like 2 years, even the 3-year mark, when I felt so strongly about these feelings, I don't think we would have fucking worked out. So from 3 to 4, like from the 3rd year to the 4th year, I was testing out those waters. Like, hey, what if we moved in together? Like, what would happen? Or like, well, hey, like, do you ever think about blah, 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 blah? Hey, what if we got, like, that type of shit. I feel him out first. Because, bitch, you already know that you want to do it. You have to feel out your partner. Because they could just be like, no, like, I'm not having kids until I'm 30. And it's like, bitch, what the fuck? That's like in 7 years. I'm going to dry up soon. Not really, but you know what I'm saying. But there are no rules. Like, Victor's parents, only together for 3 months before they had a child. And they are almost celebrating 30 years together. Happy. There are no rules. Then I know people who are together for 9 years, 10 years. They can't get their shit together. So there's no right way to do this. It's about your right way. Like, you can't go based off of anybody else. Shit, you can't even go based off of me. You have to analyze your situation. We're big girls. Analyze your situation and think about, what are the pros and cons of me doing this? And should I escalate the situation type of shit? You know what I'm saying? And in this analytical research of your life, you need to then recognize, am I dealing with a fuckboy or am I dealing with a grown-ass man? Because that result will then dictate everything else. Because I have seen so many women. I've seen so many fucking women waste their time on the breed of man in which I am referring to. This man will have nothing coming into the relationship. He will have nothing coming out of the relationship. And everything that he has during the relationship, it's because of you, bitch. These types, you need to really start thinking about what it is that you want to do. Because it's heartbreaking to see these women, these strong, powerful, successful ass women. Successful in their own right, because success means something different to everybody else. Successful, like, bitch, you're hustling, you go to work, you go to school, you got your own spot, you got your own bills, and this motherfucker right here, he ain't got no job, he got nothing. Like, what? The toilet paper he's wiping his ass with is yours. So what is he adding? And it's so heartbreaking to see that, and I see it so often, especially if you're cool with this woman, because you can't really tell her nothing, because she's not going to know what the fuck you're talking about, because no woman wants another woman to speak on their relationship, and that's just a fact. You know what I mean? So in that situation, you have to have some self-awareness. You know what I mean? Like now, if you have a bold ass friend, or like if you have like a sister, like if this was my sibling, no, I'm letting you know, and we could fight about it, but I'm gonna let you know. You know what I'm saying? But like if we're just like friends, and I'm like, damn, bitch, like I love you, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just know your place in that situation. You know, like if you're on the outside looking in, just know your place. You know what I'm saying? Like, she gonna look at you like, bitch, mind your business. And you have to be like, okay, because you have to, right? Because even when you're reflecting and you're thinking about yourself, your personal plans and your relationship plans, they are separate from each other. However, they greatly affect one another. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that. This whole thing is revolved about being in a relationship. Now, if you're single, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Like, you know what I mean? But in a relationship, now you're thinking for yourself and you're thinking for somebody else as well. So one thing is going to affect another. And when it comes to making these choices, please do not let anyone derail you from what you have in your own mind. Because like I said, you are born and bred to be thinking about these things from the time that you are fresh out the womb. So by the time you're 20, 25, 30, you've planned your whole life. And people will fucking judge you or try to divert you into a completely different direction that will probably set you back, all because it does not match what they did in their own life. And 9 times out of 10, bitch, you're doing it better than they fucking did it. So these people that try to be like, oh, well, you know, I just don't know, and I just don't, maybe this is not, leave me alone, please. Like, I got it. When it comes to a significant other, you cannot let them do that either. You need to have a conversation, a fluid conversation, because you don't want them to stunt you either. You don't want them to stunt your growth either. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am not a 25-year-old homeowner with a successful career and multiple small startup businesses because I listened to someone tell me that I shouldn't do it and it's too much of a risk. And no, that's not what this is. And everything that I just said right there, the only thing that affects Victor is the home. It adds value to what Victor and I do. So my plan, his plan, our plan, it all flows into each other. And where you might have an issue is where you're fucking up your partner, because you don't want to do that either. You don't want, you know, because then it's like, okay, so then why are you in a relationship with that person? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we going to build if you're only thinking about yourself? You know what I'm saying? And so you can't do that either. So I think that the hardest thing for anyone to do is to talk about it, is to sit down and say, okay, listen, what do we want for us? Now, we're not talking about this shit on the first date. Obviously, well, some bitches do that, but that's not who we're talking about. We're talking about when you feel that you're ready. Okay, like, or when you know, okay, him and I, we're onto something. Him and I, we're vibing in such a way that I can't ever see me living without this person. Then that's when we're having this conversation. I promise you, it's not hard. It's not as hard as it seems. Because you know, if there are things that you want in your life, the best thing to do is to voice them, whether it's to somebody, if you're in a relationship, or yourself, to get a clear view of what it is that you're going for. And I know that for me, anxiety is a huge blocker when it comes to trying to have these conversations, like I said, with either myself or Victor, because the unknown is a trigger for my anxiety. Also, when I envision my path and I see where I want to be, the unknown, if I'm even going to fucking get there, if I'm even going to make it there, whether it be I fail or, I don't know, death, that's another trigger for me. And now I literally will be sitting there like fucking paralyzed, like what the fuck is happening right now? Because it happened to me when I was in college. It happened to me when I wanted to move out. It happened to me when I wanted to buy a home. Like, it happened every fucking time. Like, these anxious panic attacks would happen every single time that I planned on doing something, that I went, when I saw, okay, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to be for me, for Victor and I, boom, panic attack. And it's just like, what is happening? And I've learned in these situations, in those types of situations where you're literally having an anxiety attack and you're having like a nervous breakdown, let the breakdown go, because you can't snap out of a breakdown. It just, you have to let it run its course. It's like a virus. Like, you just let it run its course, and then when you're done, when it's over, when you come down, you cannot fall into that place where you get stuck. Because I've fallen into that place where I was stuck and I failed over and over and over and over again. Because my anxiety was eating at me, and I literally was just stuck. Like, I didn't move anywhere. Like, everything in my life was stagnant. It felt like a fucking, like a Ferris wheel going over and over and it's just the same thing over and over again. So if you stay in that anxiousness, if you let your anxiety take over, 2 years will go by and you'll be like I had woken up one day and I was like, ooh, this is not fun anymore. Being in the same spot that I was 3 years ago, yeah, that's not for me anymore. Like, I'm tired of this shit. And Victor wasn't going to do it for me. What is he going to do? Do it for, like, what? You're going to finish school for me? You're going to get my job for me? No. Because when I realized that I was stuck, I felt worse. And then you fall back into the same fucking cycle and bullshit all over again. And in that process, the best thing that I did was let it out. Whether I screamed at the top of my lungs, whether I decided to sing my heart out to a song, and I knew I couldn't hit Christina Aguilera's notes, but I tried. But what really makes me feel better is when I write it down on, well, now I do it on my iPad, but on a book, on a journal. When I write it down on a piece of paper, or when I'm just like really feeling like shit and I don't want to feel that way anymore, I will write it on a piece of paper. I will like spill my heart out, and then I'll rip it up and I'll throw it in the garbage. And that makes me feel so much better, because not only does it acknowledge how I feel, it's just such a release for me. And it's just like, okay, I let it out. What's next? No, because no matter what it is, big or small, planning your future is fucking scary. And there are so many blockers that we have in our life, between people's opinions, anxiety, like depression, our partner not wanting it, like money. There are so many different blockers that can happen or that can get in your way when you're doing this. But we are grown ass women, and we recognize the blocker, and then we say to ourselves, they gotta go. Because they're not going to stop our growth and what we need to do. Okay? Also, and your man could also be one of those blockers, bitch. So that's something to also think about as well. And believe me, this shit is much easier said than done. I know. But I wouldn't be telling you if I didn't do it myself. But honestly, what's harder is revealing the truth to yourself. Do you know how difficult it was for me to look in the mirror and be like, bitch, you're the problem? Because we want to blame it on everybody else. Like, I'm stuck and I'm unhappy in my life and blah, blah, blah. It's everybody else's fault. No, bitch, it's your fault. It's your fault. Because then when you realize that, then you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not being the woman that I need to be for myself. So then how the fuck can I be the woman that I need to be in a relationship? Bitch, I can't even take care of myself. What are you doing? And in those moments, that whole journey, I was with Victor. So in those parts where I was the problem, our relationship was not good. And that shit was early on in our relationship. So that was the fact that he's still with me, y'all. I don't even know why. Like, I'm great, but I'm not I'm not all that. Okay. So the fact that we got over these things is a fucking, like, listen, I don't fucking know. Okay. I don't know. But it's really hard to reveal to yourself that you're the fucking problem, and that, like, being truthful to yourself. And like, that's when I started to always be truthful to myself. And that's when I started to always acknowledge, like, okay, bitch, you need to calm down. I need to have more self-awareness of my actions, my words, to myself and to other people. Because nothing was going to get better if I didn't do that. You know, so just remember that in a relationship, your personal plan and your relationship plan are different, but they go hand in hand. And these conversations that you're having with your partner, that's the moment when you decided to merge those two things together. And I know it's going to be difficult, but no successful relationship is easy. I can tell you that right now. However, if you are with the right person, the conversation should be fairly easy to have, because odds are this person is going to want the same things that you do. These plans and these journeys, they could take you to a whole nother world. But when you're with the right person, things will most likely align with each other, because you want the best for each other, and you want the best as a relationship and whatever family that you build as well. So continue to have confidence in your plan, because I know you worked fucking hard on it. Okay. Continue to have motivation to work towards your growth and your glow up. And don't let people project their worry onto you because they don't have it. Because then you'll start to realize that those same people, oh, wait a minute, I did that 6 months ago. Now you're doing it. You will set the tone for those people in your life. You will literally be the fucking prime standard for those people in your life. So continue to be that bitch, and I will talk to you all next time. But until then, if there are any topics or any questions that you have for me that you want me to implement into the podcast, please email me at latinalypodcast@gmail.com. I really want to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me today. I am Kiah Rose. This is Latinaly, and I am signing out. Bye.